And KNCO News Time is 8:35. Good morning, I'm Tom Fitzsimmons. Thanks for joining us this Wednesday morning. Time for a final newscast of the morning, and I have a couple of special guests. I thought I was just going to have one guest, but my pleasure to have two special guests with me. Lisa Redfern is here, and I have Brittany Fisher here. Now, did you help put together this program with Lisa?
I did not, but she's amazing. I help promote it on our socials.
Okay, so you take care of what social media do you take care of?
Facebook and Instagram and YouTube.
Lisa Redfern is going to be doing the speaking and the presenting at this event. The last name is Redfern.
Yes.
So is this the famous Redfern family that,
Yes.
like my daughter just turned 40, but I think
40.
But I think you
Yes.
took the graduation pictures
Yes,
and
we
stuff,
did.
right?
Yep.
But here you are doing a historical presentation and such. Is this something that you've always had an interest in?
I think it developed over time. A lot of these projects I'll be presenting tomorrow started when I was homeschooling my son through middle school, and I just wanted to learn like a bunch of stuff, and so we just have a wealth of local history, so that it just dove in.
All right. Well, I understand this is going to be presented about the Deer Creek Watershed is one of the main topics here,
Yeah,
right?
3 short films, aerial views and history of the Deer Creek Watershed, Jennie Carter Reconstruction era essays, and a book trailer on a Chinese railroad book that I just finished.
Well, congrats on the book.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Lisa Redfern. But I'll tell you that she's an author, photographer, and videographer. And you perhaps, if you have kids in schools here locally, you perhaps remember Redfern Photography taking all those school pictures. So she says she's no longer doing, but probably has fond memories of all those days with kids trying to capture pictures. So welcome tonight.
Thank you. So what you're about to see is a film that I made about the Deer Creek Watershed. And it started out as my son I was homeschooling him in 7th grade, and I was at that point gathering all the information to give him his lessons, and so we were doing like life sciences. And so I built the website with lessons, and so it's got lots and lots of resources on it. I always wish that other teachers would find it. And in the film you will see little snippets of animals and plants, and they'll have little words at the bottom, and those are all corresponding to blog posts that have a lot more detail. The next thing was, there's a segment in there where we were going out and collecting mercury from the creek with scuba divers. And it took us 2 years to get this, because there's only one time a year that you can collect mercury, and that is in the fall when the water is low, and you have to catch it right before the rains come. And you have to look in certain places around the boulders. And we had a guy that was with a retired person from the California Water Board that was teaching us how to do it. The young scuba diver in there is a Union Hill science teacher, and he was learning to collect mercury out there. So hopefully he is teaching other people how to do that. And you'll see what we found that day. And so when we missed it the first year, we were like, because, a lot of moving parts. And the water board guy says, nah, don't worry, it'll be there next year. It's been there for 150 years. And it was.
Now, how did the video come about? I'm just kind of curious about that.
The Deer Creek one?
Yeah.
It was a multi-year project. It involved airline pilots and drone pilots and hiking on the ground and scuba divers and doing a heck of a lot of research on the plants, animals, geography, geology of the watershed.
That's a major production,
Yeah.
it sounds like. Wow, that's pretty intense stuff. All right, and for people, we always have new listeners here, Lisa, so I shouldn't assume people know what the Deer Creek Watershed is. Can you basically say geographically what it encompasses or how big it is?
It's in the middle of us. It's 34 miles long. The start of it is like Skillman Campground up the hill, and the confluence is down below Englebright Lake you can see parts of it on the Black Swan Preserve.
Yeah, it is amazingly long.
Yeah.
I think they would shock people to see how much it takes in.
Yeah, and the thing is a lot of it is private, so you can't get too many parts of it. And one of the things I'm so happy to share is I got permission to go on some of these really spectacular areas, like the falls. And so you get to see some beautiful parts of our country that you don't normally get access to.
Now, when you're doing research like that, the reception of the landowners, when you asked for permission, they were I take it they were gracious? Some were?
Yeah. Some were just like, oh, heck no.
Yeah, so you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt, huh?
Yeah.
And were you surprised by some of the things that you found out there?
Oh, yes. There was some data that I got from like government resources that will it's just shocking. I don't want to tell you because it's kind of a spoiler. And when you see
Right.
it in the film, you just go, whoa.
No, exactly. So we want to hold that and stuff. That
Yeah.
is great to hear.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the video part. Jennie Carter,
Mm-hmm.
I understand she was a journalist. Is that right?
The book that inspired this was, I found it during the Deer Creek Watershed research. It's called Jennie Carter, a Black Journalist of the Early West, written by Eric Gardner, and he's a historian out of Mississippi with the colleges out there. Jennie Carter lived in Nevada City. She's buried in the Pine Grove Cemetery. She published a lot of her things in the San Francisco newspaper called The Elevator, which was a newspaper for black folks.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
She was amazing. And it was just, when I read this, it's like, I was doing the Deer Creek thing. It's like, oh, we have to have something about Deer Creek in here so I can include her in this project. And finally, we had a piece where she talked about drinking water out of the creek. And it's like, she got in there. I mean, she's not in the first film, but I made a whole separate thing for her because the two didn't really go together when I was editing.
You're an incredibly creative person. I mean, to put these films together, Lisa, you almost say it in passing and stuff. That's quite an undertaking.
Well, it's the photography stuff. It's the visual.
Yeah.
It's the visual storytelling.
Yeah. Now, Jennie Carter, how tough was life for her, just being a black woman in California at that time?
The way she writes, she was very well educated, so I feel like she had a real good grasp of the culture and the community that she was in. I sort of get the feeling that she felt safe. I hope that is true.
Yeah, I hope so too. I know Chinese had a tough life, and of course that leads us to your novel that you did.
Yes.
So inspiration for the novel, how did that happen?
That was a hike we did with my son going up to Donner Summit, tunnel number 6, just walking in there and just being blown away by this granite chunks and, I don't know, this dark spot that just seems so oppressive. And to think that we had all these people working on this and, they didn't get acknowledged or recorded. I mean, their families know who they were, but, the wider public didn't get to know. And it's like, we have to tell this story.
All right. Now, I've never walked in one of those tunnels.
You will.
I mean, was it, first off, was it kind of scary in a way?
Yeah. Okay, so really you can only go in like a couple months of year because it's got water running through and there's ice and, frozen waterfalls in there. It would be dangerous to go in.
I wasn't expecting that right away.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Like you got to go in summer and you have to have like, headlamps or whatever, good flashlights because you get in there at a certain point and it's like pitch black. And so you're just kind of crunching on the gravel.
Yeah.
And
all right, but you must have turned off the lights at one point just to experience pitch black, did you?
I don't know that I did. I was looking there's a thing in the middle, which was a tunnel that they bore down. And if you're on the Pacific Crest Trail at the top, where at that little ski thing, you'll see this cap. And that's that tunnel that was going down. And so what they did is they were doing the tunnel from 4 faces. So they would drop people down in the middle and they'd be working on their way out. And then 2 people on, 2 sides on either end. And so just amazing. I mean, just to visualize how that happened, when they were doing that was kind of mind-blowing.
All right. So so I understand the construction of it. What inspired you to do a novel about the Chinese, and in particular, like what a family went through with that process?
Because probably comes back from, interviewing our local families. Is just I wanted to know these people. I wanted to know what they felt, what it was like to be in there.
We did, and when you get your newsletter, which you should get hopefully in the next week or so, there is a nice book review that Rose Murphy did of Lisa's book, Crossing.